Hello everyone and welcome to another how-to video from Advanced Learning Inc. This time we're going to take a look at how to create a context-based drop-down list or a cascading drop-down list in Excel. And as most of you would have guessed, we are going to use the data validation list method for doing this. This is a question that I run into very often in my classroom training programs or in my webinar workshops as to how to build lists that are dependent on each other. So I've taken a very common scenario here, that of a list of different kinds of accounting heads based on an initial choice. So you can see that I have 5 lists created here on screen, and these 4 are subsets of this list which is here. So I have a list here called account head, and there are 4 items to choose from, and depending on your choice here, you should be presented with one of these 4 other lists. So I've created a drop-down list here using data validation, and the choices in this list are these 4 that have been displayed under account head. So if I choose asset, then my second list in this column should now present me with only the items from the asset list. And if I choose liability, it should present me with the items from this list. As you can see, it does. So the second list here shows me all the assets. If I change this to liability, my second list now shows me only the liabilities. So it's a very simple method of doing this. There are more than one method of doing this. I've taken the simplest, and that is to use rerouting of formulas using range names. So the first thing to do is to select these lists and assign them names. As you can see, this list, I have assigned it the name asset, and you have to be very careful here to make sure that the name matches exactly the spelling of the items in this list. So there we go. That one's named asset. The second one has been named liability. The third named expense, and the fourth named income. Now that I've assigned those names here, the first thing I've done here is to create a drop-down list using data validation. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll select this column and go to data validation, and I say list, allow list. And for the source of the list, I've selected B13 to B16. So obviously this area, so that I get all those items in the list. Now the next thing to do is to create the second list. For our second list, we are going to use the names together with Excel's rerouting function, the indirect function. So it's all you have to do is select the input cells as before, go to data validation on the data menu, click data validation list, and for the source of the list, I'm going to type equals indirect of B20, making sure that I remove the dollar signs from there because I don't want it to be absolute. So I'm going to ensure that I take those off and leave it as a relative reference and click OK. So the indirect function is going to read the choice that is mentioned in B20 and then reroute my data validation list to whichever of these lists is named liability. So there we go. We select liability here, and here we are presented with the 4 liability accounts. If I select expenses, in the next list I will be presented with the 4 expense accounts. So this is one method of creating a dependent list where one list is dependent on the other. There are numerous enhancements or improvements you can build on this method. You can format all of these lists with the table feature so that they are self-expanding and you can add more items to it. There are other methods that you can use to do the same thing. They involve advanced formula building like array formulas. And so I've decided to stay away from those complex treatments and just look at the most or the simplest implementation of this concept. So there you have it. One method of creating a dependent or a cascading list. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give us a like or head over to our Facebook page and give us a like there. If you found a better way or an easier way to do the same thing, we'd love to hear from you. So head over to our website at www.evanswerinc.com and drop us a line. Thanks very much for watching, and until next time, have a wonderful day.